Hi, this is Dave Earley, and thanks for watching. Today we're going to talk about pace-setting group leadership. The idea of this series is to give you some short, practical, essential tools for great group leadership. And these principles, for the most part, work in any type of group, whether it's a basic life group, a study-oriented group, a men's group, a women's group, a support and recovery group, an affinity group. These principles work in every type of group. And the point of giving them to you is twofold. If you're just starting a group, these become the non-negotiables, things you gotta have in order to have an effective, healthy, growing, and ultimately multiplying group. If you're leading a group, it's easy to just kind of get off track, to forget some things, to get a little lazy about some stuff, to be unintentional. Having these things in your toolkit will remind you, help you, polish you, so that you can keep your group going, keep it on the right track, help it be as strong, as healthy, help it grow, and help it ultimately to multiply. So today we're going to talk about pace-setting leadership, and this is one of the most important things you can get. And the idea of what we're talking about today is these are the things that need to happen outside of the group session. So if your group session lasts 2 hours a week, these are the other 160 some hours a week. These type things need to be going on. So let me give you what we're talking about in regarding pace-setting leadership. And PACE is part of an acrostic for I-PACEM, I-P-A-C-E-M. So let's talk about this pace-setting leadership. The I in I-PACEM stands for invite. Healthy, growing groups are always inviting new people. The leader is inviting new people, and the leader encourages the people in the group to be inviting new people. It's a simple principle. If you invite them, some will come. They did a survey for a certain style of groups, and they found that if you invited 25 people, 15 would say that they would come, 8 to 12 would show up, 5 to 8 would stick. So for every 25 people you invite, you could get a group of 6 people. That obviously works differently in different settings and different places, but the point is you got to keep inviting new people or your group won't grow, and ultimately it'll start declining because people will drop out of your group for various reasons. Job reasons, health reasons, family reasons. They get transferred, they move away, they get involved in another ministry or whatnot. So you got to keep inviting. You say, well, who do I invite? We always look around on weekend services for people you don't know, people that are new to your church. They're great to invite. Look for people that are not connected in a group. When you're meeting people at church, you can ask them, are you in a group? Are you involved in a group? I'd like to invite you to my group. Think through your family members. The New Testament is filled with family connections. Your neighbors, your coworkers, people you go to school with, people that you do hobby things with. Always be looking for new people to invite. And understand that there are certain seasons in people's lives when they are most receptive to an invitation. The first 2 weeks of something new, receptivity to new things is extremely high. When I say something new, I'm talking about a new school, a new job, a new neighborhood, a new community. When people are new at something, started into a new club activity, new at church, that's when they're most open and receptive to an invitation. People that are in a new stage of life, newly married, having a new child, new stages, new receptivity. And then also people that are going through a setback, when they experience the loss of a loved one, maybe the loss of a marriage, maybe they just found out they or somebody they love has a severe health situation, maybe they've got an issue going on with their kids and some serious problems there. When they're going through a setback or a loss, people's receptivity goes up. Take advantage of those seasons of the soul to invite new people. Always remember that invitation is most effective when you've invested before you have invited. You've invested before you have invited. You've got to know them. You've put a little into the relationship. Maybe you prayed with them about a situation. You've had a meal with them. You've had coffee with them. Invest before you invite. Always more effective. And then work on the communication ladder of ask. And that means you ask them for a little thing before you ask them for a bigger thing. Before you ask them for a big commitment, like to be a part of your group for the rest of their life and lead that group and multiply that group, ask them for something small. A simple thing they can do. Can I pray for you about this? Would you come to church and would you come to a meal at my house? Would you join me for coffee? Would you come to my church for one special service? I want you to hear this guest speaker. You keep increasing the commitment level. You're building the ladder until it's easy for them to say, yes, I will come to that group. Now, if you're starting a new group, sometimes it's good to start out with a 6-week, 8-week, 12-week commitment. So somebody's not thinking, well, I've got to come to this the rest of my life. I'm not ready to make that commitment, but I will commit to come 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So build the ladder of ask. And when they're ready, make sure you give them all the details. Where it meets, when it meets, what it's about, how they should dress, so that there's nothing uncomfortable about it for them. It's easy for them to say yes. It's easy for them to show up. Invitation is extremely important. I pace them. Invitation. I pace them. The P is for prayer. The goal is that everybody in your group and everybody you're working on to bring to your group, and that everybody in your group is working on to bring to your group, is being prayed for regularly. Now, you start by getting everybody in your group prayed for regularly, and that would be you praying for them and them praying for one another. Just like you don't need to do all the inviting, you don't need to do all the praying, but it has to be going on. It's not a complicated thing. You can just encourage your group every week. Make sure that you've got the names of the people you prayed with tonight or the people you sat with tonight, and pray for them this week about what you just prayed for them about. Pray with them on Sunday about what you just prayed with them about. The more people that are being prayed for, the stronger the spiritual connection to your group, the more God will be working in people's lives. So, we want potential group members to be invited consistently. We want people to be prayed for regularly. I pace them. The A is availability, and the idea of that is we're available to each other. We're more than just a group of people that only see each other, only get together, only have contact with each other for this hour, hour and a half, 2 hours a week. We're available to each other. If in the middle of the night you are going through an incredible crisis, here's somebody you can call. One way you can do that is to have people share phone numbers when they feel comfortable, or have them share phone numbers with just a couple people in the group, or share their number with you. We had a young man who was dealing with alcoholism, and he just kind of started going to a group, but he went through a relapse and ended up in the hospital. He called his group. His group had reached out to him, as they regularly should, and they all surrounded him with love and encouragement. Well, that changed everything. From being a guy who had come a few times sporadically, he became heart connected to that group, cemented into that group, and it also really speeded up his sobriety, and he's doing incredible now, and it's on his way to becoming a group leader. Availability is an important thing. I pace them. I invite people. We're praying for people. We're available to people. The C, contact. People need to be contacted consistently. The first 6 weeks of a group, everybody should be contacted every week. You just want them to get into that habit. It takes 3 weeks to develop a habit. It takes 6 weeks to become comfortable in a habit. The first 6 weeks, everybody gets contacted as often, as well, as deeply as you possibly can. After that, absentees should get some type of personal contact. We missed you. We care about you. Is there anything we can pray about? Is everything okay? Absentees should get a personal contact. Consistent attenders. You don't have to contact them personally as often, but they still should get regular contact, and don't just take them for granted because they come all the time. A lot of times great things can happen when you communicate with them outside the group. You have coffee, or you talk, or you have them over to your house when the group's not meeting. A lot of great things can happen. That's where you can find, if they're consistent, that's where you can find potential leaders. And then always make sure there's a contact after a personal illness, after they're going through a setback, they're going through a difficult season, they've shared something in group about a medical thing or a family thing. Contact them. Check up with them. Find out how it went, how it's going, how you can pray for them. So, healthy, growing, multiplying groups have pace-setting leadership. They're pace-setting groups. People are being invited, prayed for. You're being available to them. They're being available to each other, and they're being contacted. The E, I pace them, stands for example. And the idea of a leader is that they're an example not of a perfect person, but of a progressive person. Somebody who's growing, somebody who's making progress in their spiritual journey. Not somebody that has it all together, or not somebody that doesn't go through problems, but somebody that is progressing in how they're handling them, how they're thinking about them, and how they strive to stay connected to Christ even through their own difficulties. So you want to be an example. And one thing you want to be an example of is a good member of your church. At our church, we ask that members are people that have been saved, obviously, by faith in Jesus Christ, through grace. We ask that they've been baptized scripturally after their salvation. We want people that are consistent in attending and participating in our weekend worship services. We want them to be involved in a group, which obviously, if you're leading a group, you should be involved in one. Growing. We want them striving to grow on their own by reading the Bible and praying during the week. We want to see them having a place that they serve. Giving financially to God through the church. That's an important thing. Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. Growing leaders are giving leaders. And then in unity. You need to not be a cancer, not be a toxic person when it comes to your church. You need to make sure gossip doesn't go on. You don't participate in it. You are a fan. You are united. If there's something you don't agree with or don't understand, go talk to your pastors and work it out. But you want to be an example of what a growing Christian looks like. You're setting an example for everybody in that group. So, a pace-setting group, a pace-setting leader that's part of a healthy, growing, multiplying group. They do I pace them. They're inviting new people and seeing their group members inviting new people. They're praying for the people in their group consistently. They are available to those people. Contact is being made consistently, often throughout the week to the various people. An example is set of what a growing Christian looks like. And the M is the one where you become a multiplying group because you're mentoring the group to become leaders. You're helping them learn. You've prayed and identified at least one apprentice who's starting to share the leadership of the group, making sure that I pace them is happening outside the group, that they're participating in that, and helping you lead the various aspects of the group. You've identified an apprentice, you're letting them and encouraging them and coaching them to give leadership during the group session. You're talking about multiplying this group, launching a new group, being behind the new leaders as they launch a new group. You're talking about multiplying in positive terms. You use words like launch and birth and multiply and start and plant. You don't use negative terms like we're going to be dividing or splitting or separating. No, it's not a negative thing. It's a very positive thing to multiply a group, to launch a new group, to make an opportunity so more people can be reached. God willing, your group, if you're doing this I Pace Them, it's going to be full. So you need to start a new group so new people can be reached. And then there's two major ways to do it. Either you send the new leaders out with a small leadership team, their own apprentice, a couple other folks to start a new group, or if you're the existing leader, you turn the group over to the apprentice and you go start a new group. But what we ultimately want to see is every group growing and multiplying, because the need for people that need Christ and people that need connected to His body is overwhelming. Everybody in your community is not a Christian, and everybody in your community who is a Christian is not connected to the body of Christ in a smaller group. So we need more groups. We need a lot more groups, which means we need a lot more group leaders. So our job is to invest in them and help them multiply. Well, I Pace Them. Invitation, prayer, availability, contact, example, mentoring with the goal of multiplying. If you do these things, statistics bear it out, examples bear it out. These principles have been proven to be true on all the major continents in the world. There's churches that do this and advocate it. You can make a difference. We want healthy, growing, multiplying groups. We encourage you to be a pace-setting leader. Well, God bless you. We'll be talking again. You can do it.